Welcome guys to the Meek Damien channel. I am Damien, and today's live stream we'll be taking a look at cryptocurrencies. We'll take a look at the stock market as well if you guys want to take a look at that. And if there's any stocks you guys want to talk about, we can look at them. But right now, what's going on with the markets is we had an ADP jobs report that came in negative. We lost jobs compared to a week ago. And if that continues on for like the next few weeks, that could mean that we might be entering a recession. So there's fears of a recession going around in the markets right now, which is causing Bitcoin to go down 2% and the altcoins to go down quite further than that. Also, if we look at the Nasdaq, Nasdaq is down, as well as the Dow Jones and the S&P 500. So they're not doing so well either. Actually, I take that back. The Dow Jones is actually up right now, 0.77%, but S&P and Nasdaq, they're in the negative right now because of the jobs report that came out from ADP. It's the only kind of data that we're getting for jobs report until the government starts reopening up again, and then we'll really find out what's going on with the jobs in the United States here. But getting back into Bitcoin, okay, Bitcoin is up against some technical resistance here. We do have the 200-day moving average above our head at 110k. We saw last night Bitcoin get up to like 107,482. That was a little bit of rejection off of this white line, which is the 21 EMA at 107,700. And then also, if I go into the 4-hour chart here, this thing will actually load up. On the 4-hour chart, we actually had some moving averages that were acting as resistance as well. Last night, the 50 moving average was at 107,753. We didn't quite get up there, but I still call this a rejection off of the 50 moving average. So Bitcoin, you know, had a little bit of cold water thrown on it last night after it was starting to get a little bit hot out there, with Bitcoin getting up to like 107k for the first time since Monday, November 3rd here. And we are still, you know, we're still cautious on Bitcoin. However, I still like the market structure of us making higher lows here on the 4-hour time frame, and also making higher highs as well. Hopefully this ends up being a little higher low for Bitcoin, and then we can actually start making our way back up to the moving averages and contesting up against them at 108, 109k for the moving averages above us on the 4-hour time frame, and also getting back to where we were at the beginning of November here when we saw Bitcoin at 110k. Okay, 110k is still my target to the upside for Bitcoin, even though we're getting further away from it today. And we got this bearish engulfing candle on the daily time frame here. 110k is an area that I think could be, if we're going to be bearish, I think that would be where the bears really step in to try to put their bets in for a lower high here on Bitcoin, like we made here back here on October 27th. That red line, that 200-day moving average, looks like a sweet target to enter a short, because you'd be shorting Bitcoin at the 200-day moving average. And if Bitcoin comes and retest the 200-day moving average, that's a really great confirmation signal to be shorting Bitcoin if you're inclined to do so. Because if Bitcoin loses the 200-day moving average, then it could possibly be going into a bear market here. And we also have the bears making the case that we are making lower highs here, lower highs, as well as making lower lows. So we're in the downtrend, and Bitcoin has a lot of proving to do. It needs to prove that it can get up to that 200-day moving average, and then needs to prove that it's going to stay above the 200-day moving average at $110,000. And then it needs to start showing us that you can make higher highs instead of lower highs. The last higher high here on October 27th was at 116,410. I would not become overly bullish on Bitcoin until we get above 116,410. Okay, but right now we're having a red day, and we're having a bearish engulfing candle here. And you know, if I was to make the bearish case here against Bitcoin, you could say that this could be a bear flag forming here on Bitcoin. And if this is a bear flag, then we got to measure that out, right? If this is going to be a bear flag, then you got to draw out the flag here, right? But if that's a bear flag on Bitcoin and it starts to break down further from where it is right now, then the measured move is this flagpole that I just took and dragged over here. And this flagpole measured move is showing that Bitcoin could get down to like 90,600. If we're going to end up going down to lower prices here, I'd be targeting the 90K area on a short to take profit on that short. Okay. But I hate to be bearish on Bitcoin. I know you guys like it when I'm bullish on Bitcoin and crypto because you guys want to see your cryptocurrencies go up to higher prices here. But I already told you, like, my qualification for whether or not we're bullish or bearish is are we above the 2-day moving average? And we're not. So we're below the 2-day moving average here on Bitcoin. I have to be bearish until Bitcoin gets above the 2-day moving average. And then when Bitcoin actually gets around to the 2-day moving average, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not overly bullish. I won't be overly bullish until Bitcoin gets above the 50-day moving average, which is that green line sitting above us at 113K. But also, I would get even more overly bullish if we can get above the highs, the last lower high here at 116,410. Okay. So that's what I see. Let's see what you guys are saying here on the chat. Let me catch up on the chat here. We got Dave P in the chat saying, yo! And he's got sunglasses here. Alright. And then let's see what my TikTok guys are saying. KDB is saying, sorry you missed it. What did you miss? I don't know what you missed there. I gotta catch up on the chat here. Alright. Guys, let's go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and actually try to get up to, like, we're at 228 likes here on TikTok. Let's see if we can get it to 1,000 likes here. All you gotta do is double tap that screen, and we'll get some more likes here. Appreciate that. Appreciate if you guys can do that for me. Thank you. All right. Let's take a look at some other cryptocurrencies here. Let's look at crypto bubbles here. See what the crypto bubbles are doing. So you can see that Uniswap is still having a good day here. Starknet down 12%. Stacks up 5.4%. I'm just looking at the big bubbles here. CFX, I'm not sure which one that one is. It says Conflux is up 16%. Aerodrome Finance, a decentralized exchange here, is up 9.5%. So there are some cryptos here that are up, but most of them are in the red. And some of them are in deep red, like Zcash over here, down 14.8%. Okay, so let's take a look at Uniswap since it's one of the big gainers for today. I did talk about Uniswap yesterday because someone requested it, and I didn't know that Uniswap was gonna have a big day yesterday. Even when I was during the live stream, when I was live streaming it yesterday, and they asked me, it was at like $7. But now Uniswap is at $9, having a nice decent day here. And Uniswap actually did get up to like $10 last night, so that was good to see for Uniswap. Uniswap did hit a target here for me at 10.07. Okay, on the Fibonacci. I got a little bit above that Fibonacci level. And now Uniswap is hanging in between the 0.382 and the 0.236. Uniswap is bullish because it is above the 2-day moving average. This 2-day moving average is sitting at $7.89 right now. Stay above that, and also stay above the 50-day moving average, and I can be fairly bullish on Uniswap. I could probably be overly bullish for the fact that it's above the 50-day moving average. Okay. And then just give it a chance for the 21 EMA to catch up to where price action's at. And if it can stay above the white line as well, then I would become very, very bullish on this asset. Okay. And if we're going to continue being bullish on this asset, we do have a 618 retracement at $13.65 is a target for me to look for. Where I would expect, maybe Uniswap to take a breather around that level before it climbs up to higher prices here. And let's see, how high has Uniswap got in the past year? We have seen Uniswap get up as high as $19.46 here around December of last year. Okay, so it's trying to reclaim, you know, it's glory days from 2024 here. But I think it's been even higher than that in the previous cycle. Yeah, back in 2021, we saw Uniswap here at like 28 bucks, 35 bucks here in May of 2021. Yes, Lorraine, we are looking at Uniswap right now. So I think I pulled this Fibonacci off of the highs here from back here in December for Uniswap to the lows at 426. I'm trying to figure out, like, was it really 426 that Uniswap got down, or maybe I didn't measure this thing all the way down to where it should have been. But yeah, well, if I measure from lows here of 384, I mean, you could say this is swing low to swing high. That's a swing low right there. I think I gotta readjust my Fibonacci here. I think I want to readjust it to like what's the number here? Come on, 553 for the lows. Yeah, let me go. Well, that's the previous. Yeah, 470. Yeah, we'll go with 470. Okay, so I'm just gonna readjust this Fibonacci here. I don't think it was done precisely as I wanted to. So 470 was a level to look for, and actually 470 is the level that we came down to. Let's see, right here on November 4th, we came to 473, and then we launched up to higher prices. Okay, all right, so now, all right, oh, this looks a lot better now, because look at this, we actually came up to the 0.382 level here and got rejected at like 1035 is that 0.382 level. So then that 618 level that I'm looking for is going to be at 1383 and 1430. So I think those are the numbers that we need to be looking for here for Uniswap to the upside. Okay, and of course we'll see if we ever get back up to 19 bucks here, but you know, one level at a time here on the Fibonacci. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Lorraine's also here on TikTok saying, am I bullish on Uniswap right now? I am bullish because Uniswap got above its 2-day moving average. We're going to have to see if Uniswap can stay above that 2-day moving average at 789. But I think things are looking all right for Uniswap to try and go to higher prices. I think I caught up on the news yesterday. It's like I was trying to figure out, like, why is Uniswap all of a sudden out of nowhere catching the bids? And it's because they created a program where they're going to start doing, I think, like fees are going to be taken out of the exchange, and they might use some of that money to burn the token. And you know, with less tokens out there, it actually creates more value for the tokens that are still out there. So yeah, Uniswap catching the bids right now. And as long as they're making money, they'll always be around, in my opinion. All right, Kitty Kush is asking for a Cody. And then Dave P, is that a request for Surge? Is that a cryptocurrency, or is you just trying to tell me something that something's surging right now? Let me go ahead and write this down. We want to look at Cody after this, okay? And then, are there any other requests here from my TikTok guys? I have a guy here asking if I'm Polish. No, I am American. I live here in the United States of America. And Laureen, I'm looking at the time frame on the daily chart for Uniswap. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Cody. See what that looks like here. Guys, let me know if you like the music or not. Try and do something a little bit different from the 80s stuff. I just wanted to listen to something different today. But I think this music that I'm playing right now, it only lasts for an hour, so I might have to reset the music again, like towards the middle of the live stream here. I do plan on being live for about a couple hours here. Thank you, Adam, for following me here on TikTok. And we have a request here for XDC. All right, and Dave says Surge is a crypto that he requested. Okay, so I'm writing down Surge, and then after Surge will come XDC. Thank you for the request, guys. Keeping me busy. I like that. Hopefully it doesn't get too crazy busy. I know yesterday was kind of crazy busy with the requests. All right, so we're now looking at Cody. Cody's currently trading at 4 cents right now, almost 4.5 cents. And let's see. Cody did get above his 2-day moving average, so that's good to see. You know, my qualification for being in the bull market is you gotta be above the 2-day moving average. However, you lost that 2-day moving average as soon as you got it. You got it here on Sunday, and then Monday you lost it. You went down 21%. You're hanging out near the 50-day moving average, sitting at 4.5 cents right now. So I mean, okay, maybe not as strong of a performance as we would like to see. But if you're over here making a higher low near the 50-day moving average, then maybe this thing can climb its way back up to higher prices here. Get above that 2-day moving average, and then if you get above it and come back down again, maybe you retest the 2-day moving average, use it as support, and don't go any further lower than that, and then you go off to higher prices. That's what we want to see here with Cody. Would be nice to see here if we can get something like this going on here for Cody, okay? But we shall see. We shall see. As of now, I think I could do a little bit of a Fibonacci on this, see what the levels might be if Cody decides to go down further on us, or if it continues to go up. We'll see how far it could go up. Now, to the downside here, we have a 0.382 at 4 cents. Did we actually come down to 4 cents? We didn't. But if Cody continues going down the lower prices here, I would expect maybe 4 cents to act as a reaction here. It's a nice even number that people might want to throw their hat in the ring here and try to buy Cody at 4 cents. Okay. Then we also got a 0.236 below us at about roughly 3.5 cents. And that's yeah, right there at the 0.236 level, and that's kind of like right where the 21 EMA is. So if this thing's not able to hold 4 cents, we could come down to 3.5 cents, and then maybe that's where the higher low gets formed before we go up to higher prices for Cody. Now, if Cody's gonna just stop going down and actually go up right now as we speak, then we'll see how Cody handles himself at the 2-day moving average, sitting at about 5.5 cents here. 5.5 cents is right where that 786 retracement is sitting at. You would think that would you know, be a resistance level until it can prove that it can go back up to higher prices. And what we got up to like what 6.064 pennies here. That was the high back on Sunday. If we can continue past that, then you got the 1272 above you at 7.5 cents, and then the 1618 at 8.088 pennies here should be a target for Cody. And I would pay attention to these numbers, guys, because there's other traders out there that use the Fibonacci, and you're gonna wonder, like, if this thing does go up to like 0.88 cents, you're gonna wonder why it just stopped there. Maybe it goes up to like 0.87 and then comes down. Okay, and you'd be like, why did it do that? Well, if you're using Fibonacci here, you'll kind of understand why. Okay, there are targets here that you know, with enough Fibonacci traders out there using it, they're all paying attention, they're all putting their sell orders out there. But also just through natural human interaction with numbers and percentage gains here, if this thing was to go up to like 8.088 pennies, think about it right now. That's a double in price from where we are right now. Okay, so whoever's buying right now, they're gonna double their money. They're probably gonna sell when it gets to 0.088. Okay, so there is some mathematical logic to these numbers here as to why they play out that way. So I would be targeting, you know, this 1618 at 0.088 as a take profit target, at least for the short term. And if you're in this thing for the long term, then, you know, you're probably looking to see if this could it get higher than what it did here in May when it was at like 9 cents, and then can it get higher than where it was back here in January earlier this year when this thing was at like 11, 12, 13 cents. But, you know, but one level at a time here. And I'm pretty sure the Fibonacci probably says the same thing. Yeah, 2618 says that, you know, if it's going to reach for the stars here, it could get up to like 12, maybe 13 cents. Dave P likes the music. I'm glad you like the music here, Dave. I want to do something different here with the music. Or try to change up the playlist as a little bit more than I can or have done in the past here. But I'm glad you guys like the music because I like it too. I figured you guys might like it as well. All right. Moving on from Cody, we'll take a look at Surge now. Surge. What's the ticker symbol for Surge? Is it SURGE? Because I got it in there. And I have a stock called Surgery Partners. But if I type in Surgery USD, nothing really comes up. What crypto exchange does Surge trade on? Because if you could tell me what exchange it's on, I could probably find it. But until I hear back from you, we'll skip over to XDC for now. XDC network currently trading at 6 pennies right now. Obviously in a downtrend. Oh man, I didn't lock that in. Let me go ahead and lock that in. Obviously in a downtrend. Had a brutal October, just like a lot of altcoins. This thing dropped down to 5 pennies on October 10th, but then it continued dropping further here on November 4th, down to like less than 5 pennies at 0.049 pennies. However, you know, just from my previous analysis here on XDC, I have drawn a Fibonacci, you know, going from the swing low to swing high here. Back here, swing low was like November of last year when this thing was trading at like 2 pennies, to the highs here in January of earlier this year when this thing was at like 15 pennies. And I think these levels on the Fibonacci are still important levels to pay attention to here. Okay, so right now we're kind of hanging out near the 0.236 level at roughly 6 pennies. It's 0.058 pennies to be exact. This is a level that we thought could act as support here in October, and then we kind of broke through it. Had a little bit of a bearish fake out here. We got to stay above this level, in my opinion, or else, you know, this could, you know, give more credence to the bears that this thing has to go lower. And if we go lower, oof, it could be brutal because you don't really have that much support here on XDC. Let me turn the VRVP indicator, see if there's anything below us here. If we lose, you know, 6 pennies roughly, or 0.58, I'm sorry, actually, if we lose like 5 pennies here, we could end up coming down to about roughly 4 pennies from the VRVP indicator here on the right. And then if you lose that, then there's a gap in the VRVP, and you could go all the way down to like 3 pennies here. Yeah. No bueno. No bueno, in my opinion, if we lose that. But there are some support levels here. I mean, it's very easy. Like, if you lose 5, you're going to go down to 4. If you lose 4, you're going to go down to 3. Simple as that. But if this thing actually can create an uptrend here and actually start making higher highs, higher lows, right? I think you'll butt your head up against resistance here at the 200-day moving average sitting at 7 cents. And then we got the 0.382 retracement here at 0.077 pennies. I don't know if you can see that because the number's kind of blending into the candles there. But I'll just show you here. 0.077 pennies here is that level right there. I think those are your upside targets for this cryptocurrency if it can climb back up. But because you're below the 200-day moving average, I have to remain bearish and cautious until you get above the 200-day moving average. When you get to that 200-day moving average, I would be cautiously optimistic. But the moving averages, they're kind of bunched up really close together here. So if you get above the 200, you're probably going to get above the 50. And usually, you know, when you're above the 50, that's when I become overly bullish. So you don't really have to do too much to do that. Okay? Just get up to like 7.5 or even 8 pennies here. And you'll be doing fine here on XDC. I'm not sure what you're gonna need for a bullish catalyst here. Seems like the markets are having some trouble here. Even though we have a lot of good things going for us, we have lower interest rates. They're lowering interest rates. We have trade deals with China and other countries. I think Trump is even talking about lowering tariffs with India because they've been restricting the amount of oil that they're buying from Russia. So a lot of things are going our way in the markets, you would think, to push us to higher prices here. But cryptocurrency is just not reacting in a positive way. And every time something bad happens in the markets that would affect the stock market and crypto, it seems like, you know, crypto takes it even worse and ends up being a lot worse for crypto than it is for the stock market. But I don't know, I was in a Discord channel, not my Discord channel, but I was in another Discord channel in Porky, and I just reminded people the fact that we are still in the 4-year cycle. I know some people are in denial about the 4-year cycle, and some people are thinking like, oh, the 4-year cycle, this time is different. But was it different 4 years ago? And then 4 years prior to that? I mean, the reason why they call it the 4-year cycle is because we always get 3 good years in crypto and then 1 bad year, 1 bear market. So we're due for a bear market coming up, you know, going into next year. And could this be the start of the bear market for crypto? Maybe that's why our cryptocurrency coins aren't doing so well, because we're in a bear market and we just don't realize it, or we're in it and we're in denial. Anyways, let's see. I gotta catch up on the chat here. Looks like we got some more requests that came in. Steve Hickey's in the chat. Good to see you, Steve. And DZ's in the chat asking about AIOZ and SQD. All right, let me go ahead and write those down. AIOZ, SQD. Dave P says it's on Solana, Binance, and Base. It's listed on CoinGecko for reference. I mean, I could try to look it up on CoinGecko because I think I can pull up a chart on CoinGecko. But let me see if I can find that for you here. We gotta look at search. If I type in crypto, alright, let's see. Could this be the coin that you are looking for? I see it's on Solana here. Let's see. Yeah, let me just click on this, see what that comes out to. Is this a brand spanking new token, Dave? Because I see search here. Is this the price that is trading at? 0.000258 pennies, up 47% today. I don't know what you want me to do with the analysis here on search. It's only been around since Friday of last week. I'm not gonna have a, I'm not gonna have a 50-day moving average because it hasn't been around for 50 days. I'm not gonna have a 200-day moving average because it doesn't have a 200-day moving average. All I could probably do is just do a Fibonacci on this. But, I mean, what's the analysis? This thing is surging. Surge is surging. Is that what you want me to say? This thing topped out at 0.00026 pennies earlier today. And then here on Friday, it was as low as 0.00013 pennies here. Yeah, it's very new. So there's not really much I can do on a very brand new cryptocurrency like this, besides doing like Fibonacci. Even if it's just like a stock, it was like a stock that just went IPO'd, last week and brand new to the stock market. This is all I can do, is just do a Fibonacci. Some numbers to look out for is your 618 is a normal retracement, could bring you down to like 2,116 here. Okay, a deeper retracement could put you down to like 1812 or 1624. And if this thing continues surging on surge, then we got a 1272 that could get this thing up to like 2959, and then the 1618 at 3404. Those are your upside targets on surge if this thing continues being bullish. And then I guess I could pull out a 1-hour chart and maybe get some moving averages showing up here. And on the 1-hour chart, I do have a 21 EMA that is currently trying to show up on the charts here. And you can see that on the 21 EMA, we actually did come down to the 21 EMA earlier today when we dropped down. We actually dropped down this past hour to the 21 EMA. This is sitting at 2,076. So you can use the 21 EMA to kind of judge, when's a good time to buy. Is when this thing drops down to the 21 EMA on the 1 hour chart, and that's all you got. You don't even got a 50 or 100 moving average here to work with, but the 21 EMA could help you figure out, how low this thing could drop if it does drop down. Okay. Of course, when this thing becomes bearish and this thing drops down below the 21 EMA, the 21 EMA is going to act as resistance. Okay. So you saw like right over here, the 21 EMA was acting as resistance. We came down. Then we broke past the 21 EMA. Okay. And then after that, you flipped it from resistance into support while climbing above the 21 EMA. So that's how I would try to work with a brand new coin there using the moving averages. All right. Moving on from Surge, we'll take a look at AIOZ and then SQD, and then let's see, what do I got here on TikTok? What do I got for requests here? Maureen wants to look at ICP. We can look at ICP, and then you want to look at CoAI. Okay, we can look at those. I should look at CoAI because I'm still in a CoAI long, but I don't know if I'm going to get stopped out because CoAI not really going up. It was trying to go up yesterday, but yeah. Lightning McWeed is asking for, is that a request for a Helene? Let me go and write that down for now. Take a look at Helene later on. All right, let me move on to the next request here. AIOZ. Get onto the daily chart for AIOZ. Oh, I don't have any chart work on this one. I know this cryptocurrency's been around for a while. There was a lot of talk about it last year in December as an AI cryptocurrency play. This thing was high as like $1.29. Yeah, around November of last year. Now we're sitting at 17 cents. Hope you guys are understanding how, dangerous and how much money you can lose with cryptocurrencies. And even with the cryptocurrencies that aren't meme coins, if they don't have a pretty distinct use case here, you could lose a lot of money in crypto, like AIOZ has done over the past year, going from like $1.20 down to like 17 cents here. Ugh. Anyways, AIOZ is still in the downtrend. You have lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high in the daily time frame. Continue to make lower highs here while making lower low. Well, you kind of made a higher low here in August. You had some bit of a hope here, but then you could just continue making lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. So you're in a downtrend on AIOZ. I think what I could do here, if I want to, no, not that one. I'm looking for, no, not that one either. Oh, this, yeah, that's what I got. Parallel channel. I want to do a parallel channel here. So you have something like this going on with AIOZ, making those lower highs here. You have a roughly a descending channel going on here. And this is what you got. So you're coming up on the top of the descending channel. If this thing continues staying in the descending channel, then this is as high as the price you're gonna get for AIOZ before this thing comes back down to like maybe the heart line at like 13.5 cents, or maybe it comes down to the bottom of the channel here at like 8 cents. It could get pretty bad and pretty nasty here for AIOZ if it doesn't start catching some bids right now. My opinion on any asset here. You're below that 200 moving average, you're bearish, and you definitely are bearish here on AIOZ. AIOZ needs to like reverse the trend here. It needs to do something like this, where you start making higher highs for the very first time in a long time, and then make a higher low, and then make a higher high, and then make a higher low, and then make a higher high, and then you got yourself like a rising channel instead of a descending channel. You'll get yourself like an uptrend instead of being in the downtrend here. So, not looking so good for AIOZ. And just using that 21 EMA, that white line, right, on the daily time frame here. That 21 EMA has been acting as like a resistance line, a bully, pushing you down the lower prices here. Right now, the 21 EMA is sitting at 17.5 cents right now, so you're kind of at it right now. If you can't catch bids like right now, going into tomorrow and later on this week, and if you're not able to start making an uptrend here, then this thing is going to go back down again to like lower prices. Probably revisit the lows here on November 5th when this thing was at 12.5 cents, and then probably come down even further than that until we start generating some demand. Let me look at the oscillator, see if there's any hope here on the RSI indicator. Let's get this guy up here. Are you creating any bullish divergence showing that buyers are stepping up to the plate at these lower prices here? That's what I want to know. So, looking at the RSI on the daily time frame, you're still making lower lows. As crazy as that might seem, you're still making lower lows here. So there is no bullish divergence on this asset. You know, maybe if this thing comes down here, you know, we'll see, we'll have to pay attention to what ALZ does in the next few days here. But if ALZ's RSI drops down, makes a higher low, and then goes up, makes a higher high, and then a higher low, then you could say, oh my god, there's some bullish divergence showing up here on AIOZ. But right now, it's not showing up on the chart yet. Right now, you got lower lows on the RSI. If this was to start making higher lows on the RSI, then I can be like, okay, we got higher lows here on the RSI, but we still have lower lows on price. That is bullish divergence. Buyers are showing up to buy up AIOZ at lower prices here. That could be the beginning of bottoming out here for AIOZ, but you haven't had that yet. You haven't had that yet. So let's see what AIOZ does over the next week or two. I think it's pretty crucial for AIOZ to. I mean, you could just get out of this downtrend by going sideways. Can AIOZ go sideways and stop making lower lows? Because if you start making lower lows, then guess what? You're no longer going down to lower prices anymore because you are not making any lower lows. That could be the bottom. But if as long as you keep making lower lows, then you don't know where the bottom is at on this asset. So yeah, stop making lower lows is what I want to see out of AOZ. And then, you know, you can make the same low. You can make maybe like a double bottom. Okay. Even better would be if it makes a higher low and then a higher high, and then we can start going into an uptrend on AIOZ here. All right, that's enough of that. I think I made my point. Let's go to SQD now. SQD currently trading at 8.5 cents, up 14% today. Subsquid. SQD has done a round trip here. Okay, you left on your trip here on September 23rd here, and then you seen high prices here of like almost 30 cents on October 9th. You had a nice little vacation at 30 cents, and then you came back to reality here at like 8 cents. Did your nice little round trip on Subsquid. That's my little joke there for you. Okay, so this is believe it or not, this could be possibly good here for Subsquid. Did you make a lower low? I'm curious. Did you make a lower low here? You got as low as 0.0668 pennies on November 5th. and then 0.0683 pennies, 66, and then 68. He kind of did make a lower low, believe it or not. Very small, shallow, you can barely see it. But you made a lower low on price, so I'm not really sure if I like that. But since they're so close to each other, you can just consider this a double bottom. And God, if this is a double bottom, then you have to measure the top in between the two bottoms. This thing could ricochet and go up to higher prices if it catches bids again. I kind of like this pattern, believe it or not. I'm actually more bullish on this than I am AIOZ. Okay? Because even though you kind of made a slightly lower low, it's kind of almost like the same low. So I don't know if it really qualifies as a lower low. I would call it basically a double bottom. The crazy thing about double bottom is like double bottoms, they do play out going to the upside, and this could be a very violent double bottom. If you got to measure the top in between the two bottoms here at 30 cents. Now don't or anything like that. Like, hey, where did my information go? Jesus. All right. But anyways, you would just take the measure move. This is the measure move out of a double bottom. If this is going to be a double bottom on subsquid, then you take the measure move, which is the top in between the two bottoms here. Okay. Take that measure move, you draw it out, and you take this top and you put it on top of the top in between the two bottoms here. It gives you the measure move. This thing could go up to 53 cents. Could. Not saying it will, but it could. Okay. And 53 cents is slightly above the 1618 at 44 cents. So I'm giving you your hopium right now on subsquid. Okay. More realistically, before we even get up to those levels, you have to climb yourself up to the 0.236 level here at 12 cents. About a little bit less than 13 cents, 0.128 pennies to be exact. Then you got a 50-day moving average at like roughly 0.12 pennies. And this is coming off of Coinbase. How relatively new is Subsquid? Subsquid came out in June of earlier this year. Excuse me. So it's a relatively brand new cryptocurrency. I don't have any other moving averages besides the 50-day, the 21 EMA, and you can see that this blue line is starting to show up here. This is the 100-day moving average showing up for the first time on the chart, and this is saying that there could be some resistance at 13.5 pennies. So I think your upside target on Subsquid is about 13 pennies, 13.5 pennies. Somewhere in this area should be where you take profit on your swing trade or your day trades here. And then long term, I mean, the long term potential is, could this thing get up to at least the 618 at 21 pennies? I think those are more reasonable, realistic targets before we even talk about 30 pennies or 44 pennies or even 53 pennies. But I mean, this thing has come down. I think it's worth taking a shot on this one, believe it or not. You can put your stop loss below the lows here on November 5th, where we got as low as 0.066 pennies. Put your stop loss there. And if I was to do a long position on that, let's just measure that out real quick here. Stop loss below the lows from last week. It's about a 22% stop loss, so still a little bit risky. And if you're targeting, let's say we'll target the 100 moving average at 13.5 pennies here. You're risking 22% to try and get 57%. Risk reward ratio is at 2.5. Not good enough to be a 3. Not really the best trade, but you're probably going to want to stick around longer than that. Besides 13 pennies, you're probably going to see if you could target the 618. And if you get up to that 618 retracement up there, that's a 148% gain. You're going to double your money, and your stop loss is about 22%. Your risk reward ratio is 6.5. That's a really good trade to take. It's a good long. You just get back up to 21 pennies here. Oh no, Dave, you're leaving us. And over here, you know, all right. Glad to see that you came in. Look forward to seeing you on the next live stream. Tomorrow's live stream, I'm going to probably do a later live stream around like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern time. Because I got some things I need to do tomorrow afternoon. And the same thing with Thursday. Thursday, I have a doctor's appointment. And, you know, I might have to do the live at like 4 p.m. by the time I get done with that. Okay. But yeah, tomorrow's live stream and Thursday's live stream is going to be a little bit later than today's live stream, than my normal time slot. Just keep that in mind, guys. All right, so Sub Squid might be worth taking along, believe it or not. And yeah, if you get it down for lower prices than where it is right now, you could get a better entry on your LOM. All right. Moving on from SQD, we'll take a look at ICP and then CoAI. Internet computer ICP currently trading at $6.36 here, down 6.5% today. And what do we got? What do we got here? I have drawn a Fibonacci, taking the fib from $9.80 here, down to the lows here at $2.81. Oh no, what happened to my TikTok here? I gotta fix my network here, guys. Let me see something. Cancel. Alright, let's go live again here. I lost my live on my TikTok. No. Alright. I gotta reboot TikTok here. Alright, we're back live again here on TikTok. Hopefully my TikTok guys are able to show up to the live stream again. But we're looking at ICP currently trading at $6.37. And hopefully Lorraine's in the chat, because she's the one that requested ICP here. I see Kenny has joined. Good to see you, Kenny, here on TikTok. I kind of want to wait for a few more people to join here on TikTok before I do the analysis on ICP. In the meantime, if you guys are new to TikTok, or if you're on TikTok, you can find me here on the Meet Damien channel on TikTok. I'll give out my shout out to myself here. Guys, I also, if you want to stay in touch with me here on Twitter, there's a Meet Damien Twitter as well. Let's see. If you guys want to find me here on Twitter, there I am in the red shirt again, Meet Damien. I'm trying to build up my following here on Twitter as well. And then, of course, for YouTube, you guys here on YouTube, Meet Damien. Let's see, go to my channel here. You can find me here on YouTube as well, okay? And this is where you can see my live streams. You can watch the reruns, rewatch the live streams that I've done in the past here. If you missed a live stream, you can find it here, okay? All right, let's get back into ICP again. Alright, so ICP currently trading at $6.35. This thing looks like it's frozen. Is my connection good? Alright, yeah, this price is moving now. Got it. Alright, good. Like I said, we draw the Fibonacci from 982 down to 281 here. And we have some levels that were coming up here on ICP. We have a 0.5 retracement at $6.32. That looks like the level that we're hanging out at for now. So we already came down to the 618 retracement, and we'll come a little bit further down. If we go a little bit further down from there, there is a 0.32 at $5.49. I would be looking for that level if we continue to go to lower prices here on ICP. Now ICP, I can be bullish on this asset because you're above the moving averages. 200 days sitting at 495 could act as support if we actually do go down to that level. But let's look at the outside. Is ICP done going down, or is this thing going to continue going down on us? Let's see. Market Cipher B says that we topped out here with a red sell dot here on Sunday. Momentum is coming down. Money flow is going horizontal, but if this thing starts curving down as well, then you know money is leaving ICP, and it probably wants to go down to lower prices. You're waiting for basically a green buy not to show up to show you that ICP is actually creating a low at some point here. But so far, there is no green buy dot yet. On the MACD, buying pressure was increasing during the first week of November, but now buying pressure is decreasing on this second week of November. So if this continues on down, you're going to see ICP go to lower prices here. And then let's look at the RSI here. RSI, obviously this thing was overbought first week of November, but now you're at RSI of 59. You're in neutral territory. But if this thing goes lower prices, then the RSI is going to get dragged down with it. So I think the trend is still your friend here on ICP. ICP is probably going to continue going down the lower prices here. Unless it catches the bids right now, you're going to see it come down to like probably 549, or maybe even to the 2-day moving average at roughly $5 here. If ICP is able to catch those bids here to the upside, you got the 618 above you at 714, and then the 786 at $8.32 could be targets to look for on the upside here. Ooh, I didn't want to do that. Let me go ahead and lock this in. And then we'll see if ICP is able to revisit the highs here in the beginning of November when it was at $9.82. And I think those are your upside targets for now, after having a nice pullback here on ICP. Alright, Kitty Kush wants to look at ARB and LRC. And DZ, is that a request for Fetch AI? What happened to Fetch and ICP? It was pumping the last couple of days, now it's dead. So those two cryptocurrencies are related to AI, and I know in the stock market world, there's some AI companies in the stock market world that are actually not doing so well. CoreWeave reported revenue is not going to come in as high as they thought it was going to be for 2025. So that affected the AI companies on the stock market, which you would think would also affect the AI companies here in cryptocurrency world. Yeah. So I think that's taking the wind out of the sails for Fetch AI and ICP. Kitty Kush says, taking a break. Crypto doesn't have stamina this cycle. I think Trump's tariffs messed up a lot of what could have been for this cycle. And the reason being for that is because Trump's tariffs were affecting interest rates. The Federal Reserve wasn't going to lower interest rates if Trump kept raising tariffs, which he did. And that kept interest rates high, and that stopped the altcoins from going to higher prices. And it literally happened starting in January. Like the Federal Reserve, they were lowering interest rates last year, in like September and October of last year, and then they stopped lowering interest rates in January when Donald Trump came in and started talking about tariffs. And then he actually implemented those tariffs, and then they didn't lower the interest rates anymore up until September of this year, and then kind of got a little bit of a rally in Bitcoin, going up to like 126K in October. But imagine if they actually lowered interest rates, if Donald Trump didn't, I'm not trying to get political, but imagine if Donald Trump didn't raise tariffs. Then the Federal Reserve could have lowered interest rates earlier this year. They could have kept lowering interest rates. And then we might have had the bull run altcoin season that we've all been waiting for. So this is something to keep in mind. I'm not going to get political, but I think Donald Trump's tariffs messed up this bull market in crypto. Yeah. All right. Oh, you just wanted to know what happened with those? Yeah, the AI companies. You got to pay attention when you're playing with AI cryptocurrencies. You got to pay attention to what's going on with the stock market world and AI, because That's going to affect the AI cryptocurrencies. All right. So ICP. I gave you the upside downside targets on ICP. I think we can move on to CoAI now, which is another AI cryptocurrency in the AI agent world here. Let's take a look at CoAI. Chain Opera. This cryptocurrency was the talk of the town back last month in October. This thing, well, how high did it actually get up that high? $48. I don't believe that. Maybe it did, but I do remember seeing like $27 and $20. Yeah, Chain Opera, CoAI. CoAI currently trading at 97 cents right now. Down 10% today. I wonder if I got stopped out on my my long on Mexi. I think I moved the stop loss to like 95 cents. I'd be surprised if I'm still in it. Let me go double check it real quick here. Where did I put that stop loss? Obviously I'm in the red today. I wouldn't be surprised if I get stopped out. But yeah, I got my stop loss at 95 cents on CoAI, so I'm only like 2 pennies away from getting stopped out on this long that I got on CoAI. We'll see if I'm able to stay in the trade or not. But CoAI on the daily time frame. Obviously I've seen better days in October. Do I want to do this chart? I think I want to do it on CoAI. Let me go on the chart that I've been trading on. I'll get my previous data here. Where are you, CoAI? Come on. There you go. There we go. All right. So with CoAI, I have identified there was bullish divergence that I was looking at that showed that CoAI could possibly be bottoming out here. You have make lower lows obviously here on CoAI. However, on the RSI, at least I think on the 4-hour time frame, you were making higher lows on the RSI here. So CoAI was starting to bottom out. That's one of the reasons why I decided to get into this asset, this trade. I think there's still lingering effects from like last month. I think people are still talking about it, so maybe people will give it another try again for this month. Let's see, on the MACD, I think I identified on the MACD that we're getting some buying pressure here on the 4-hour time frame, but going back to the daily time frame, you can see on the MACD, selling pressure is dying off here on CoAI. I mean, it might come revisit the lows that it did here on November 4th, where we got down like 79 cents. Maybe it makes a double bottom at 79 cents. If that's the case, I'm willing to take another bet on CoAI to add to my long to hopefully see this thing go up to higher prices, right? Because I think CoAI, I believe CoAI, from what I see in the charts here, is trying to bottom out. Especially here on the daily time frame, you see money flow was decreasing during the beginning of November, but now money flow is curving back up. It's not decreasing as much as it was the first week of November. There is money starting to come back in the CoAI here on the market cipher B indicator. Let's see what CoAI is doing on the 1-hour chart here. I'm spending a little bit more time on this because I actually am in this asset, so I want to see this for myself. 1-hour time frame. Let's see, lows at 3 a.m. we came as low as 96 cents. Oh my god, I could have got stopped out. 96 cents looks like the lows for CoAI on the 1-hour chart. Market cipher B, momentum is trying to create, I believe, a higher low here, and then money flow is, although it was decreasing last night going into this morning, starting to increase. You're getting the curve back up on the 1-hour time frame, so that's good to see. We need to see more of that. Maybe the lows have been put in for CoAI. Maybe I won't get stopped out. I can still stay in the trade. Okay, I think that's enough for CoAI. So yeah, CoAI. This on the 1 hour time frame, this could possibly be a bear flag. I want to see CoAI get back up to higher prices and get up to that 200 moving average on the 1 hour time frame, sitting at the $1.07. It was trading at $1.07 all throughout yesterday. But I think to pay attention to the 200 moving average on the 1 hour time frame is very important, because if CoAI starts catching bids again, that 200 moving average could act as resistance at $1.07 one more time here. And that's also where people were buying here. So if anybody wants to like get out of their long and break even, they could break even at $1.06, $1.07 here. Kitty Cush says they are lowering rates right now. Do you think it's too late? Lowering rates is supposed to be beneficial to stocks in crypto. But now you have to wonder, what is the reasons for them lowering rates? Because if the reasons is that they're lowering rates because we're going into a recession, then that means people are struggling to pay their bills. People are losing their jobs. If people are losing their jobs, because we're going into a recession, how are they going to buy crypto? They're going to be more worried about, paying their rent, paying their mortgage, and putting food on the table than buying crypto and stocks here. So lowering interest rates is good for the markets. Eventually it will be good, but if they're lower, you got to find out what are the reasons for them lowering interest rates. If they're lowering interest rates because the economy is bad, then that's not good either. But if they're lowering interest rates because inflation is coming down and they don't need the rates to be so high and people still have their jobs, then they can just lower interest rates just to be more accommodating to the market if inflation is going down. But the hardest part about the last few months here is that they want to lower interest rates because they know interest rates are pretty restrictive and high for most people. But Donald Trump keeps threatening tariffs and raising tariffs anymore. Now I think that's kind of coming to an end. Now that we're getting towards the end of the year, like all the countries that have been tariffed, and Trump did a trade deal with China, so that would that probably means we're not gonna have any more tensions with China. So they shouldn't be rocking the markets like it did earlier this year. And now let's talk that, or at least the Supreme Court is now listening to whether or not his tariffs are like legal or not. There could be a possibility that these tariffs get taken away going into next year. So that could be another positive catalyst going into next year. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with the markets, because obviously we don't want a recession. It'd be nice if we don't get a recession, but if we do get a recession, then that's going to cause the markets to go down. But the Federal Reserve can lower interest rates to help keep the economy going and get us out of a recession. And if they get rid of tariffs next year, that could also be a positive catalyst that could help the economy and help the markets here. All right. There was a request for Helene. Let me see if I can find Helene here on the charts. I'm having a hard time finding Helene. Helena on Pancake Swap. Is this the crypto that you were trying to get me to look at? I don't know. Someone said a request for Helene or Helena. This thing's trading. Excuse me. Trading at $2.04. I could do a Fibonacci, see what that looks like here. Looks like you've already come below the 618 retracement. Looks like we're kind of hanging out near the 0.5 retracement, or a little bit below the 0.5 retracement at $2.10. Then you got another retracement level at $1.91. This thing could come down to $1.91 if it hasn't done so already. And then here on the daily time frame, the moving averages are below you, so this thing is bullish. However, you are getting a nice little pullback here. If you continue pulling back, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to the 50 moving average at $1.71, which is confluent with the 0.236 at $1.67. So I think this thing could come down to like $1.67, $1.70, and that would be a good buy, or better buy than where you are right now on Helena. All right, so that's Helena in a nutshell. Let's move on to Kitty Kush's request for Arbitron and LRC. Let's take a look at Arbitron. Arbitron currently trading at 28 cents, down 8% today. I have previous chart work here. I think we were trying to do a long here on Arbitron. Yeah. And this would have been at 31 cents. I guess we could just readjust this analysis now, right? To where we are right now on Arbitron. And I can put the stop loss right below the lows from November 4th here. Yeah, 17% stop loss. And what were we trying to target? We were trying to target the moving averages here. Maybe that 50 moving average. Gives you a risk reward ratio of 2.88, up 50%, just getting back up to that 50 moving average. So yeah, I think Arbitron, right? You're just trying to get back up to the 2-day moving average to confirm that you're bullish. If not, you have to be bearish until you get above that 2-day moving average. 2-day moving average sitting at 39 cents. Do that, and I'll become cautiously optimistic and possibly bullish on Arbitron here. But since you're here on Arbitron, right, this could be a bear flag, right? Let's measure that out to the downside here. This is a bear flag, and we'll just say that this was kind of like a fake out here, but I've drawn another possible flag here, or bearish pennant if you want to call it that. So if this is a bear flag, you just take the flagpole here. It's like an upside down flag, right? And you take it to where we could possibly lose this, you know, if we go down to lower prices, we lose 28 cents here. The measure move says we could go down to 14 cents. It's almost as low as what you did here on October 10th when you came down to 10 cents. So be careful with Arbitron. I mean, put your stop loss tight, you know. You probably put the stop loss below Tuesday, November 4th here when you came down to like 23 cents. Put the stop loss there so you don't lose the rest of your money here on Arbitron. That's what I see for Arbitron. If we're going to be bearish here, bullish case, just try to get it back up to those moving averages above you. Just take it one day at a time. All right, moving on from Arbitron. Let's take a look at LRC. Luprang? My music is still going pretty well here. Let me see if I gotta reset the music. Do I gotta reset it? No, it's still good. Yeah, we're good. All right, Luprang currently trading at 6.067 pennies. Not really doing much today. Well, it actually kind of did a little bit, but got rejected. Luprang got up as high as like 7.5 pennies. Luprang kind of almost creating like a bear flag, right? Still in the downtrend, making lower highs, lower lows. Let me just draw this out. So I'm just going to connect this low and that low. kind of like in a descending channel. I'm not sure if I'm going to call this a bear flag. I'm going to call this a descending channel. So if this is a descending channel for loop ring, then, you know, we could come down and revisit the lows here at like 5 cents if we're still in this downtrend on loop ring. Look at the oscillators. Are we getting some possible bullish divergence maybe? RSI at 31.8 on October 11th. 31.5. Oh, we make a lower low. You're not really making a higher low here, so no bullish divergence on loop ring that I can see. See what the market's FRB is doing. You're making lower lows here on the momentum. However, you got a green buy dot that showed up here on last Friday, and momentum is shooting up. Money flow is starting to curve back up to the upside. Okay. Maybe loop ring is starting to cash some bids. No, let's look at the MACD. Higher lows here on the MACD. That's good to see. So you're getting maybe possible bullish divergence on the MACD for loop ring. It's just not showing up on the RSI indicator. Not the way that we want it to see. But I don't know. Loop ring. I mean, this was a little disheartening to see. You couldn't actually stay at the above 7 cents here. But if you can actually start making higher lows, higher highs here, and maybe get a candle close above 7 cents, then maybe we can start making a case that we'll get up to the 2-day moving average at 8 and 9 cents here, around this area here. DZ says so many altcoins at their all-time low. Altcoin bear market, says Kitty Kush. Yeah, it's been like an altcoin bear market this entire year. Like Bitcoin has been in a bull market, and then the rest of the altcoins, except for like a select few, have been in a bear market this whole year. Like, you know, XRP and Solana actually made new all-time highs or whatever. Who else? Yeah, really not that much as far as altcoins go. And then Bitcoin just made ever so slightly new all-time highs, but it was only going up like $1,000 higher than the last all-time high. So kind of like still weak sauce on Bitcoin, even though it was making new all-time highs. But Bitcoin, let's get back into Bitcoin. Bitcoin was making new all-time highs, but only doing it like $1,000 or $2,000 more than the last previous all-time high. Like we had the all-time high now on October 6th is at $126,000, but that's only like a couple of grand more than the all-time high in August, which was only like $1,000 more than the all-time high in July. So that's kind of like weak sauce in my opinion here. And I think you could blame the interest rates. If you don't want to blame Donald Trump, you can blame the interest rates. And then if you want to blame Donald Trump, you can blame Donald Trump for tariffs. And tariffs were preventing the Federal Reserve from lowering interest rates. So there you go. I follow the chain of events. I feel as though Donald Trump's tariffs messed up interest rates, which then messed up the bull market in crypto. But that's just my opinion. I'm just some guy on YouTube and TikTok. Oh, we got Cameron is in the chat here. Thank you, Cameron, for sending me the You're Awesome. Cameron, do you have any coins you want to take a look at? Which ones are you in right now? Cameron said there's no liquidity in the market. Yeah, there's been some problems with liquidity. I will give you that. And you know, with Bitcoin, if Bitcoin's going to be bearish, if there's no liquidity, like we said, you know, I have measured this bear flag here, the flagpole, and it says that, you know, if Bitcoin breaks down from where we are right now, we could see $90,000 Bitcoin, that blue number right there. Or if this is Bitcoin making higher lows and trying to climb itself back up to higher prices here, 200-day moving average is an important area. I think 200-day moving average is a good area to try to short Bitcoin. Better than where we are right now, obviously. I would try to look for a short at 110,400 if I was bearish on Bitcoin, which I kind of am. Until Bitcoin can prove that it can get above the 200-day moving average in a convincing fashion here, that red line, that 200-day simple moving average, I have to be bearish on Bitcoin until we get above the 200-day moving average. And once we do, then I can flip bullish on Bitcoin. But then I also want to see, I have to see Bitcoin go higher than the last lower high here at 116,400. If we're not able to do that, then that could be another good area to try to short Bitcoin. But I would actually, I'm looking for longs on Bitcoin. You know, until we actually go lower than the lows here at 98K. You know, 98K would also be another good area to go long on Bitcoin if that ends up, you know, we end up coming back down there and make a double bottom and then go up to higher prices. That could be another good area to get into a long for Bitcoin. I'm in a long on Bitcoin right now, pretty much at this, I think about $1,000 less than where we are right now. So I'm still in slight profit on my Bitcoin long, but sucks to see that we're losing. You know, I had a pretty good gains when we were at like 106, 107K yesterday. Let's see. Cameron, you want to look at Uniswap? We looked at Uniswap at the beginning of the live stream, but I can do a quick analysis on it, just a quick review on it. Razaz says he is shorting Bitcoin at $98,000. All right. And Cameron says he has a short going on CFX. Razaz says prepare to enter injective. All right, let's take a look at Uniswap one more time here for Cameron. Uniswap. I do have a Fibonacci. I think is pretty useful here, measuring from 1946 down to 470. And 470 is where we got as low. That's, you know, we got down to like 473 here on Tuesday of last week for Uniswap before we started catching some bids here. And we got above the 200-day moving average. That was good to see. And we came right up to that 0.32 retracement at like 10:35 earlier today before we got rejected. And then we came right back down to the 0.236 level at $8.20 before we got some support. So we're in between these two Fibonacci levels here on Uniswap. I like the fact that we're above the 200-day moving average, so I can be now bullish here on Uniswap. I think Uniswap is going to probably go sideways before it goes up for another run up to higher prices. And if it does go up to a run up to higher prices, levels to look for to the upside is $12, which is your 0.5 retracement, and $13-14 here is your golden pocket level for Uniswap. But yeah, just looking at the oscillators here real quick here. Market cipher B. You bottom out here. You got a green buy dot here on November 5th. Momentum came up pretty fast and quick. Money flow came up as well, and you're in the green. And this could be the beginning of something good here with Uniswap. I don't think we're done going up on Uniswap here. And RSI was overbought on Monday, but now RSI is at 67, so you could probably make another run up here on Uniswap. And then MACD, you still have green buying pressure, and the buying pressure hasn't died off yet. You're still ever increasing buying pressure with Uniswap. So Uniswap, this might just be a correction before we go up to higher prices here on Uniswap. I'm looking for $12 to the upside for Uniswap. Ahmed is asking me what's the lowest Solana will reach for the short time. All right, we could probably look at Solana if that's the case. If you want to look at Solana. You want to see how low Solana can go in the short term here. We're now looking at Solana currently trading at $159, down 5% today. Solana is trying to make ever so slightly higher lows here with these candle wicks. These candle wicks are just confirming that there is buying pressure below 155. People show up because we haven't closed below 155 here on Solana. So I think in the short term, that's as low as Solana's going to go. It could go lower, but if it does, it might not be there for longer than 1 day. We get like another candle wick here, you know, below 155 to wherever Solana decides to go next. But I mean, I think we're getting close to as low as Solana is going to go in the short term here. Over the long term, could it go lower? Well, I mean, could this be a bear flag? Right, if this is going to be a bear flag, I'll try to see if I can measure this out here. But you know, the highs here, try to create like a bear flag here. And then I gotta do the flagpole. So if this is the flagpole, ugh, this would be brutal if it does do this. But if the Solana breaks below 150 bucks here, 155 bucks, we got a measure move that says Solana could get down to 115. That could be how low it goes in the long term. It's not gonna happen. Hopefully, it doesn't happen in 1 day. But you know, over the next few days, few weeks, it could get down to that price. That's the bearish case for Solana. And it looks pretty convincing when you got that bearish engulfing candle here, erasing everything that you did yesterday, and also bringing you back to where you were here on Sunday. Let's see what the oscillators are doing here. Do we have to be so bearish here on Solana? MACD is showing that selling pressure is dying down on the daily time frame, believe it or not. So this could just be a correction, guys. This might be the lowest price you can get Solana before it goes up to higher prices, possibly. However, market cipher B is showing a red dot here on Tuesday. Oh no. So red dot, you know, could be a signal that you're going to go to lower prices tomorrow and the next few days here. However, you can see, like, you know, when we had a red dot here on Saturday, you had a green dot that showed up on Sunday. So this could get canceled out. You know, going into tomorrow, we could get a green buy dot that says this thing's going to go up to higher prices again. I do like the fact that money flow, this red, right, it was in the green, you know, back in October. Yeah, you got red here the first week of November. But money flow is starting to curve back up to the upside. And if money flow keeps increasing into Solana, eventually you'll get green showing up again on the money flow. And you should see higher prices for Solana. Trying to see if I can turn this into a bullish case for Solana. And RSI is still creating higher lows here. So I wouldn't get too bearish on Solana. Believe it or not, you know, as scary as it might seem with this bearish engulfing candle, this might be like the lowest price you can get Solana right now. And then tomorrow it could be a green candle, and then another green candle going into Thursday. So we shall see. But I have to still be biased towards being bearish on Solana because you are below the 200-day moving average. That red line there, that 200-day super moving average. You gotta get above 180 bucks for me to be bullish again on Solana. Josh Shareem is in the chat. Josh Shareem is asking about Poet. I think we're coming up on 2 hours almost here. I'll try to do Poet for you. And let's see, is there any other requests here? Smoky Eyes is asking me about Fetch AI. Alright, let me do Poet first, and then maybe we'll take a look at Fetch AI. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at Poet. Oh, that's a stock, yeah. Okay, Poet Technologies. on the NASDAQ. Poet up 1% today. $5.34. Poet looks like it's done a round trip. You're basically at the same prices that you were trading at in September 18th. Had a pretty good October when you got as high as like 941. That's where I drew the Fibonacci from. Down to 467. So Poet looks like you got support off the 200-day moving average. You lost it on Friday temporarily because you were able to close above it. Thank God, right? 539 and 510. So Poet getting support off the 200 moving average. Yesterday on Monday it opened up at 571 and then closed at 528. So you had a red candle. So you gapped up on the open, only for you to close below where you open up. So you got a red candle here. Now you're getting squeezed in between the 200 and the 100, and you're creating a hammer candle. Still, the hammer candle is bearish. I don't know. This is weird because, like, okay, it says you're up 0.95% today, but the candle's red. This candle should be green. Anyways, I see a hammer candle. A hammer candle is a price reversal candle that usually coming from a downtrend. It should indicate that this is the bottom, and this thing wants to go back up to higher prices again. So I like seeing this, a hammer candle. Might want to look that up on like Investopedia. A hammer candle is a price reversal candle, and it should be bullish going forward here. And there's a, if it does go bullish to the upside, you got the 50 moving average at $6.01, that green line right there, and then you got the 0.236 at 579 for the Fibonacci retracement. I think this thing wants to get up to like 579 to like $6. Could happen like tomorrow, later on this week, next week. But we shall see. We shall see here with Poet. Let's look at the oscillators here. See what's going on here with the RSI, the MACD, and all that. RSI is at 38.4. Trying to see if there's any bullish divergence or any higher lows being formed. 37.42, 37.41. Kind of like a double bottom on the RSI, maybe. Market cipher B. Money flow is in the red, and momentum is to the downside. I guess you're just kind of waiting for money flow to curve back up again and get a green buy dot here, signaling that you can start buying Poet again. And then let's see, MACD, selling pressure. Obviously there was selling pressure there in the beginning of November here, but selling pressure looks like it is, I like seeing pink, because pink will turn into green at some point, and that means the selling pressure is dying down on the daily time frame here. So that could be the start. Maybe the low has already been put in on Poet. I can't see why it wouldn't hurt to go long here and put your stop loss right below the lows on Friday at 497. You got like an asymmetric bet to the upside where you're not risking that much. Let's see if I did a long position on this thing right here. Put the stop loss right below the lows on Friday. You're risking about 7%. And how long do you want to stay in this trade for? You'd probably want to see if you get up to that 618 golden pocket above you at 760 here. And that's about a 42% gain. And you're only risking 7%. That's a risk reward ratio of 5.79 right there. That's a good trade to take if you can. And that's how I would trade Poet. We gotta take a look at the other one. What's the other one here? There was another request here. Oh, Fetch AI, right? We gotta look at Fetch AI. Fetch AI. USD. Coinbase. Let's see what we got here for Fetch AI. Fetch AI currently trading at 35 cents. Caught some bids here over the weekend and last week. We topped out here on last Friday at 45, 46 cents, somewhere around that area. I think Fetch AI looks like it's bullishly consolidating, trying to create like maybe like a bull flag at some point here. But I see a lot of indecision. Like indecision candle here yesterday. We got a candle wick high and a candle wick low in a small body. And then this could be creating a little indecision candle here. So I don't know. Fetch AI is kind of like not sure if it wants to be at this price or not. You got moving averages above you, so I have to be bearish on Fetch AI until it can get above that 2-day moving average at 63 cents here. But if it does that, that's still like a double from where you are right now. Yeah. Okay. And let me just do a Fibonacci on this real quick here. From here to here. The 1618 would put you at 62.5 cents, 63 cents on this measured move here. So it's possible for it to get up to that 63 cents. I would take profit at 62, 63 cents if you can. And then let's see. If Fetch AI starts going down to lower prices on you, you got a deep retracement at the 0.236 at 25 cents, which is kind of confluent with this 21 EMA at 27 cents. So this thing could come down like another 8 pennies here. But if it does, I mean, that could be the higher low for you to then go to higher prices here. Kitty Kush says Tuesday's always a bad day for TA. Tomorrow, guys, I'll be going live a little bit later than I normally do. I'll be going live around like 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Eastern time, somewhere around that time slot. So about like 4 hours later than I normally do. I usually start at like 12 p.m. Eastern time to like 2 p.m. Eastern time. But tomorrow I got some things I need to do. One of my cars, I need to put some new tires on it. So yeah, we'll be trying to go live around like 4 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. I think that's going to be it for today's live stream, guys. Appreciate you guys coming on to the live. I know it kind of sucks to see prices go down after we had a good couple of days and some good news about the government reopening. But, you know, it could still be higher lows here for Bitcoin, right? I see Bitcoin kind of trending up with higher lows here. Hopefully these are the lows for today, and people can start buying up the lows here and send Bitcoin to higher prices. But if Bitcoin does go to higher prices, I think 110K, it's going to be a hard level for Bitcoin to get past if we do get up to that level there, because that's a 200-day moving average, and you would think shorts would start licking their chops to try to enter some shorts. If Bitcoin goes up to 200-day moving average and gets rejected, ooh, if Bitcoin does that, then I would say it's game over for this rally. And that might be it. That's all we're going to get for 2025 out of Bitcoin if it does get rejected at 110K. Now, if it gets above 110K and shoots up, we still have to see it get past 116,400 here for me to be overly bullish here on Bitcoin. Okay? And then possibly if it gets above 160,400, then we can start talking about maybe testing the all-time high of 126K. But I don't know, guys. 4-year cycle, I'm not in denial like some people might be. This might have been it for Bitcoin in crypto. And we might be going into a bear market for crypto, especially if all the crypto OGs start selling their Bitcoin and they lose out on hope that they can sell their Bitcoin above 100K. If we start going into like 98K again, I mean, it would be worth taking along just in case it ends up being a double bottom at 98K. But I think some of the whales start to get scared that they're not going to be able to sell their Bitcoin at 100K anymore. And we could get sent down to lower prices where if this is a bear flag here, you know, we got a target here that says Bitcoin can get to $90,000 on that bear flag if this ends up being a bear flag. So very interesting times ahead of us for Bitcoin as always. That's why you guys stay tuned to these live streams, figure out where the prices might go next. But we're looking at a lowest target here for $90,000 Bitcoin here, if it does go low. And then to the upside, we're looking at $110,000 Bitcoin to the upside, and possibly 116K if it really wants to become that bullish in the short term here. Let's see. We have a last minute request here for XRP. I was going to end my live stream, but I guess I can look at XRP and we'll finish off on XRP. And then that's it, guys. I got to go do some things here today. We've been live for almost 2 hours here. XRP currently trading at $2.43, down 3.76% today. XRP also has a 200-day moving average above it that could act as resistance, and that's at 263. We'll see how XRP handles itself at 263. Get above that. I want to see you then try to get up to that 50-day moving average at 279. Okay, and then of course, can we reclaim the psychological level of $3? And that we have to do better than that, because you know the last lower high here looks like about like 310, 309. I want to see XRP get up to 309, 310 for me to think that, you know, we're not going to be going into a bear market, and that we could possibly maybe go up back to the highs here in July when it was at like 366. But yeah, 310 is what I'm looking for XRP to the upside, if it can even get back up there again. Now to the downside, you know, downside targets, don't go lower than 206. I think XRP Army is going to try to defend $2 as best as they can, but if they're not able to, I mean, it could get brutal out there, right? There's not really that much price action support until you get down to like $1.40, $1.50. So if we lose $2 on XRP, we could go down to $1.50 or $1.40, somewhere around that area. Okay. But yeah, that's what I see for XRP upside and downside targets here. Don't lose 206. That's like your short-term downside target on XRP. Alright guys, I will see you tomorrow. We're going to do a later start time, around 4 p.m. Eastern time for my European guys. I think that's like 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Your time. So I know I got a bunch of European guys and gals in here. So I guess you'll see me for a night stream tomorrow. And the same thing as well for Thursday. It's going to be a later stream as well. But appreciate you guys smashing that like button. If you haven't hit that like button, go ahead and smash that like button. We're going to see each other tomorrow a little bit later. But I will be here tomorrow as well. Okay? Take care, guys. And good luck trading and investing in whatever asset you decide to get into.